Stories offer frames, while frames capture something and leave something out. These were the lines quoted by Deepa ma'am in one of her TED Talks. Greetings to Deepa ma'am, dignitaries, and all my dear friends. Let's start the session with an invocation by Madhu.
Good morning and good evening, everyone. This is who we are. We are a team. Talented, energetic, astonishing mindsets. We can do anything and everything. We talk, we care, we respect each other. We see beauty in everyone, everything. We are connected by hearts and driven by values. We celebrate each other. We provide value to others. We take ownership in everything. We have freedom to make mistakes. We learn as we go. We are mad to make a difference. We love disruptive ideas. We make impossible things possible. We are strong to question the creation. We believe in dreaming big. If we do not dare to dream big, are we really living? Why be ordinary when we can be extraordinary? This is who we are. By Shivani Shirsagar.
Thank you so much, Madhu. Today, we all have gathered here to appreciate, assimilate, and experience the euphoric art of storytelling by none other than Deepa Kiran ma'am. Before we dive into the session, I would first like to introduce Deepa ma'am to everyone. She's an international storytelling artist, an art-based educationalist, a TEDx speaker, a writer, and many more. She's an extraordinary orator in multiple languages and delivers stories connecting multiple cultures with the flavor of musical elements. Ma'am has started foundation named Story Arts Foundation. She was one of the first Indian storytellers to be invited to Iran and Austria international festivals. Oh my God, this is mind-blowing, ma'am. So without wasting more time, let's tune into ma'am's world. Over to you, Deepa ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Vivekta. Yes, excited, and I know she told me that this is called Thop Talks and we're here together for 90 minutes. But you know, whenever I'm asked to talk, I always tell stories and then it just triggers an interaction, and I'm looking forward to that, some nice engaging exchange between all of us present here. And a good way to trigger that interaction is to start with a story. Okay, so are you all ready for the story?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, super. Thank you for all the welcome, lovely warm welcome in the chats. Yes, to each one of you, thank you very much. And now get set for a story. Okay, so here we go. And as Vivekta shared, if you were listening carefully, I tell stories with music. Yeah, and dance, but of course on Zoom, it's more with the music. So be prepared for some musical elements in the story. And this story Come, listen, everybody. Come, listen, everybody. Just for you, I have a story. Come, listen, everybody. Just for you, I have a story. Sometimes nice and sometimes scary. Sometimes nice and sometimes scary. Just for you, I have a story. Come. So welcome everyone to the story that's going to take us to the land of Iran. I love sharing the story for two specific reasons, many reasons of course, two specific reasons. One of them being, I remember that in 2016 when I went to Iran, and I called up my mother and I said, Amma, you know, I've been invited to the International Storytelling Festival in Iran. And she said, Ayo, Iran, Pakistan, don't know where all this girl is going to go. As it is, she's doing storytelling nonsense. And contrary to all my mother's worries, in fact, many people's worries, I realized that many people were like, oh, you're going to go to Iran, is it? Is it safe? I think that thought didn't cross my mind even once. And I'm so glad it didn't, because Iran was unimaginably warm and the hospitality is amazing in that land. In fact, when the flight from Tehran flight from Dubai to Tehran, was taking off. In that flight, I was probably the only Indian. Until Dubai, of course, it was primarily Indians in the flight. I was the only Indian from Dubai to Tehran in the flight. And I remember that before the flight was landing, there were people dancing. I promise, I really am speaking the truth. They were actually dancing in the aisle, and it was a spontaneous performance. You know, somebody started a song, probably the other passengers knew the same folk song, and they were clapping along, and the air hostess had to, excuse me, find her way and go around. That's the kind of people, you know, in Iran, they just love music, dance, art, and the person who came to pick me up was treating me like Amitabh Bachchan, because I am a storyteller. That's how they value kissa goe. They call it kissa goe in Iran, storytelling. I was like, oh wow, this is like really nice. And then to top it all, you know, there were 10 storytellers selected from 10 countries across the world. There were just 10 of us. And I always had special treatment informally from everybody, because the Iranians love India. So there would always be someone coming up to me, or even on the road. One day we had a performance, and it was in a public park. So from the van, I got down in my sari and the hijab, and I was walking with my instruments and everything. And there were two people sitting on the bench there. You know, they turned like that. Hey, jaan jab tak hai jaan jaane jahan. They just started singing a song from Sholay. So yeah, just giving you a glimpse of, you know, my experience of Iran. Very warm people, fantastic hospitality. And yes, one more thing. Though everyone wears hijab and everything, I haven't till date been in such a large gathering of people where almost 70% were women in the field of higher education, extremely established, PhDs in industrial design and philosophy, and people in different professions. Like there were filmmakers, there were firefighters, there were all kinds of women established in all kinds of profession. I mean, we don't associate Iran with all of that. It was really a beautiful experience, and so I always delight in sharing this story, which I heard from my very good storyteller friend, Roger Jenkins, and which will take us to the land of Iran. And since we are from Hyderabad, I must also mention one more thing that some of you might know, that there is a place called Isfahan in Iran, a very beautiful place with gardens. You know, the architecture is designed very well, where there are, the city design itself includes gardens. Yeah, and there are many other beautiful elements in the architecture. So the architect who designed Isfahan city in Iran was invited by the Nizam to design the city of Hyderabad. So that's the connection we have with Iran. So here goes a story from Iran of a Shah. There once lived a Shah 500 years ago, or even more, in the land of Iran. The Shah was a very good ruler. He loved his people. He cared for them very much. He was a just ruler, blah, blah, everything. But the Shah worried too much. He worried too much for his people. He just worried and worried and worried. So in the summer, he would say, oh my God, the sun is so hot. My people are going to die in the drought. And in the winters, he would say, oh my God, it's so freezing cold. My people are going to die and freeze. Each time his ministers would say, Shah, we have good infrastructural facilities. We have good facilities provided by the government, all the provisions given to them in every way whatsoever. You do not have to worry about them. Oh my God, my people. Oh, what will happen? Oh, this. The Shah had the habit of worrying too much. Finally, the ministers decided, okay, the best solution is let him go and see and let him find the evidence for himself that everything is fine. And so they said, Shah, we have a suggestion for you. Why don't you travel through your streets of your city, go right among your people and find out the real story. And then you'll know that there's nothing to worry. That's a good idea. And the Shah set out. They said, no, 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 Shah, not like this, not like this. You cannot go out like this. So they took off his velvet gown, his crown, his sword and everything. He put on simple cotton robes and even an extra beard, completely in disguise, with just a cotton turban on his head. The Shah went out through the streets of his land to find out more of what was happening. How were the people living? He went through the marketplace. He saw jewelers, he saw the vegetable sellers, and so many other people, and everything seemed okay. The Shah kept walking and walking all morning, all noon, afternoon, and by sundown, the Shah had reached the suburban part of Tehran. There, in one of the small lanes and gullies, he walked right through as the moon was just beginning to come up. He saw a small house, a one-room house. The door was open, and there was a man laying his prayer mat, sitting down, just about to say his prayers. The man also noticed who we know is the Shah, but whom he thought was an ordinary citizen. And the man said, "Welcome, sir. Why don't you share my dinner?" And that's when the Shah realized he had been walking all day. He was tired, he was thirsty, he was hungry, he was curious. So he accepted the offer and he walked in to the man's house. And the man said, "Please wait a minute till I finish my prayers." The Shah sat down in silence and the man said his prayers. He held his hands together and said, "Day after day, I have my faith. All will be well." And saying these prayers, he took out a loaf of bread, broke it in half, gave half to the Shah, and he ate the other half. Now the Shah was very curious. This man has just one room, just a loaf of bread, and he seems at peace. He doesn't seem worried about anything. So, tell me, what do you do? I repair shoes. I'm a cobbler. Oh, is it? So, what savings do you have for the rainy day and how do you manage? Nothing. I go out onto the streets, repair shoes, get a little money, manage to buy a loaf of bread, and I come back home. What if there is an emergency, there's a flood? You heard my prayer. Day after day, I have my faith. All will be well. All will be well? Shah could not believe that there is a person who does not worry, who is not anxious about the future. And he thought, I must test this man. He's just saying things for the sake of it. The next morning, when our cobbler man set out with his bag of tools right through the marketplace to repair shoes, he heard an announcement. It was the Shah's guards. Listen, listen, everybody. New declaration by the Shah. From today, if anyone's shoe is damaged, they cannot get it repaired by cobblers. They have to buy a new pair of shoes. What? The cobbler thought, what? This is great news for those who sell shoes. But what about me? What about poor cobblers like me? But not one to worry. Our cobbler just kept walking and walking and walking, because walking always cleared his mind. He went walking to the edge of the city, and there was a community well. He sat down there, drew out some water, drank some water, and was just wondering, what do I do? And just then, two children came by to fill water from the community well. and they were struggling with their bucket. I said, I'll help you, I'll help you. So he went and he helped the children pull out the water. Thank you, uncle. Most welcome. And they ran off. Just then, an old woman had also come there to fill water in her bucket. Young man, I saw what you were doing. Could you please help me too? Oh, sure, mother. And he helped her. He pulled out the water and she said, could you also bring it to my house? It is just here around the corner, you know. Oh, sure. And then they walked and they walked round the corner, down the hill, up the next hill. And there was the old woman's house. Our man put the water there and she said, God bless you, my son. I would like to give you something. Turned out she was quite well off and she gave him a few silver coins. Our man very happily took the coins and now he had an idea. Yes, he went back to the community well and he helped people fill water. Sometimes he helped them take it to their homes. And he made enough money by the end of the day. When he reached the market, he could not only buy himself a loaf of bread, he could also buy himself 2 oranges. And so it was that he was home back in the evening, laying down his prayer mat, when that same gentleman came by, who we know is a Shah. The same gentleman came by walking like that, smug, you know. All will be well, this man said. Let's see. And the Shah looked inside, eager to be invited. And of course the man said, please come in, sir. Join me for dinner once again. The Shah happily came inside, sat down, and our man said his prayers. Day after day, I have my faith, all will be well. The Shah was wondering, what is he offering me dinner? He himself has no dinner tonight. And the man took out a loaf of bread. He also took out 1 orange each for both of them. And the Shah's eyes were popping out. He said, what? I thought the Shah had banned the work of cobblers. Yes, that is true. Then what? How did you manage to get the money for this? So, you know what happened? I went out with my bag of tools and then I heard the guards make this announcement and then I was wondering what to do. I went to the community well and blah, 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 blah. He told him the whole story. And the Shah was eating his bread. Really? That's what happened? Beginner's luck, he thought. And he said, so, you still believe that all will be well and there's nothing to worry? Yes, of course, sir. You heard me pray. I still believe that. Once again, the Shah set off really quick because he didn't still believe. The next morning, our man, instead of taking his bag of tools, now that he was a cobbler turned water carrier, he went straight to the community well. He sat down there and he waited to help people. And to the community well on horseback came the guards. Yes, as you expected. Listen, listen, everybody. Declaration by the Shah, by Shah's orders. Anybody who requires water from the community well has to fill it themselves. They cannot take the help of anybody else. Our man thought, first I could not repair shoes. Now I cannot even fill water for anybody. How does a man make money then? But not one to worry. He started walking and walking and walking because walking made him think clearly. He walked on and he walked out of the city. As he reached the outskirts, he saw something very interesting happening. He saw clouds of dust and he could hear something. As he went closer, he tried to focus and he heard dhar dhar dhum, dhar dhar dhum, dhar dhar dhum, left, right, left, right, left. He went closer and he stopped. What's going on? That was the Shah's army. Drill march practice was going on. Left, right, left, left, right, left. And our man stood there watching. He heard a shout. Young man. He turned around. There was the captain of the Shah's army in his royal regalia, armor and everything, on horseback. And he said, the army is recruiting. Do you want to apply? Yes, sir. All right. Go for the test right away. So right away, he was sent for the test. The drummer played the drum and our cobbler turned water carrier had to march. Left, right, left, left, right, left. Satan, Pisha, Satan, Pisha. He did everything properly. All right, congratulations. You are recruited in the army. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Then and there, his name was written in the register. And they gave him his uniform, cap, socks, boots, belt, and most importantly, with marble casing and marble handle, but the blade of the sword was pure silver. All these things were given to him, and the captain said, young man, all what you have belongs to the Shah of Iran. Keep all of this very carefully. Your uniform, your cap, your socks, boots, belt, and especially the silver sword. Yes, sir. He fixed the silver sword in his uniform and he marched all day, very proud and very happy that he had a new job. And at the end of the day, he went to the captain and said, sir, my salary. What are you talking, young man? Don't you know that government servants get paid only at the end of the month? Nobody gives daily wages. He was super hungry after all the marching. What do I do now? Only at the end of the month I'll get food and every day I have to keep working like this? Our cobbler turned water carrier turned soldier was beginning to worry, but then he always believed in his prayer. And so instead of worrying, he started walking, because walking always clears his mind. He went walking, and it was a long walk back home. Remember, it was the outskirts of the city. After a while, he reached the marketplace. He was walking, seeing the baker, remembering food and feeling more hungry than ever. He was walking past the goldsmith, and then an idea struck him. He went to the goldsmith and he said, I would like to pawn silver. Yeah? So he gave the silver sword. He told the goldsmith to cut off the blade. And he said, I want to pawn this. I will come back at the end of the month. All right, this looks like good silver. The goldsmith had it cut out and he gave him the money. And our man said, but I have to put it in this casing, you know. So can you please do me a favor? Instead of the silver blade that you have taken out, can you fix a wooden blade in its place? And so the goldsmith did that. A wooden blade was placed in place of the silver one, fitted right back into the marble casing, and he fixed it. And now with lots of money, he went back home. On the way, he bought himself a loaf of bread, he bought oranges, and he also bought some goat cheese, a little treat for himself. And he had a lot of money left in his pocket. With this, he went back home, lay down his prayer mat, was about to say his prayers when, again, the king passed by. Good to see you, sir. Please join me once again for dinner. I'd be delighted with your company. And the king came by thinking, he doesn't look terribly worried. What's going on? Please wait till I finish my prayers. Once again, he prayed. Day after day, I have my faith. All will be well. Please have some loaf of bread. Here is some oranges and also some goat cheese. Goat cheese? Goat cheese was very expensive and very special. The king was somersaulting inside. He said, I thought you were not allowed to repair shoes and you were not allowed to collect water from well. So what's happening? What's the story? I said, that is true. But you know, when I sat down at the community well and I heard the announcement, I decided to take a walk because walking always clears my head. And I walked and walked and walked and walked. And then I met the captain of the army. And then he told him the whole story again. And this time the king was so wild. He said, what? My property? My silver blade? This man has pawned. But he couldn't tell him anything because he was in disguise. So he decided he has to sort out this guy. He said, by the way, you pawned the silver blade. Tomorrow, if we had to go for war, then what would happen? Tomorrow is another day, sir. Day after day, I have my faith. All will be well. All will be well. Let us see. The next day, when he reported to the captain, sir, the captain said, good morning. We all have a very special assignment given to us by the Shah himself. Today, we have to march down and the entire contingent has to report at the Shah's court in the city palace. Okay, sir. Our man was all set to march with the contingent. So the whole contingent went marching left, right, left, left, right, left, through the outskirts of the city, kicking up the dust, left, right, left. They went closer and closer to the city, left, right, left, through the suburbs, left, right, left. Soon the contingent was marching through the marketplace. Now at the same time, something happened. In the marketplace, a man had stolen a bag of rice and was running away with it. There were people who were giving him a chase. They had only seen him from behind because he had picked it and begun to run. They were chasing him really quick when from the other road came the soldiers. Left, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left. So immediately the people who were chasing, they pointed to the soldiers. Obviously, soldiers are fitter and better. And said, soldiers, there's a thief there running away with a bag of rice. Catch him. Yeah. So the soldiers started chasing this man. The man ahead with a bag of rice on his back and the soldiers behind him. Suddenly, the thief took a turn and there was a bookshop. He threw the bag of rice into the bookshop and escaped into other little lanes nearby. Now the soldiers took a turn and what did they see? In the bookshop, they saw the bag of rice. Immediately they pulled out the innocent bookshop owner. You thief, you thought you'd get away, we finally got you. He said, no sir, please, I'm just an innocent bookshop owner. I don't know what you're talking about. This man just threw something in my shop and ran away. Stories. Tell your stories to the Shah. They got him. And before he knew, he was handcuffed and dragged with the rest of the contingent. And all of them together went marching to the palace. The citizens were there. The army contingent was there. And finally, the Shah of Iran walked in. Silence, everyone. The Shah is going to meet the citizens. The announcement came and there was a hush in the court. The Shah walked in with all his royal regalia, the velvet gown and the crown. And of course, our man didn't recognize him. Shah walked in and stood there. Immediately, the captain of the army produced the thief and said, King, O Shah, this man has been caught stealing a bag of rice. And the man said, no, Shah, it's not true. Please believe me, I did not steal the bag of rice. Somebody dropped it there. I am just a simple, innocent bookshop owner. Please trust me. But the Shah wasn't listening. His eyes were scanning the contingent of soldiers until he saw the cobbler turned water carrier turned soldier who had pawned the silver blade. When the Shah's eyes met his, he said, "You soldier, come out here." "Yes, sir." And he came running out. "You, right now, take out your sword and chop off this man's head." He thought, I better chop off my head. Why did I do this? "Yes. Did you not hear my orders? Chop this man's head." "Yes, sir. Yeah. And while he was mumbling and bumbling like this, the bookshop owner fell at our soldier's feet. He looked up at him and he said, "Believe me, I did not steal the bag of rice. It was a thief who dropped it there. I am innocent." Our cobbler turned water carrier turned soldier looked right into his eyes, and he just knew that the man was speaking the truth. And now he realized that he has not one, but two people's lives to save. He was looking at the man and looking at the king and looking at all the citizens. And the king was beginning to get angrier and angrier. "Yes, soldier, didn't you hear my orders?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he prayed his prayer. He prayed and prayed. Day after day, "I have my faith, all will be well." And when he said those silent prayers to himself, an idea struck him. "Young man, I will have you thrown out of..." "I will do it, sir. I will do it." And immediately, he held the handle of his sword. He looked at the bookshop owner, at the king, and at the citizens and announced loud and clear, if this bookshop owner is actually the thief and is guilty of the crime, may his head get chopped off with one swing of my silver sword. But if this bookshop owner is innocent, by the grace of Allah, may my silver sword turn into wood. And he pulled out the sword. Grace of Allah. And all the people, all the citizens and the courtiers went, "Miracle, miracle indeed, miracle." And the king was controlling his laughter. He too was impressed with the wisdom of this young man. After this entire drama, he told the captain, "I wish to meet this man alone." And so, the cobbler turned water carrier turned soldier went into the chamber to meet the Shah alone. And the Shah said, "Don't you remember me, young soldier?" "I have never met you, sire." "We've been having dinner together for the last 3 nights." Then he realized his entire story was out. "I'm very sorry, sire. I'm very sorry, Shah. I'll never repeat the..." And the Shah said, "Not at all. Don't be sorry. You have taught me a very important lesson about not to worry. I would like to invite you to be one of the ministers in my council." And from that day on, the young man became a minister in the Shah's council and helped the Shah rule in a much, much, much better way. The story of worrying about nothing, because there really is nothing to worry about. There is no problem, there is no situation that belongs to us and us alone, is a philosophy that has been repeated often by so many poets,